So I'm walking to a very important part of Dublin, the Hellfire Club on Montpellier Hill. Now, this is a very, very famous place indeed. Anyone who's from Dublin is almost certainly familiar with it, but it's actually something I didn't know a huge amount about before coming here. I sort of knew vaguely of it. I'd read one or two articles, but not enough to have a full picture. It's a place full of superstition, a really, really interesting place. And so I thought it would be a pretty good thing for this project. Now, I do say the Hellfire Club, which is probably a misnomer. There was quite a lot of Hellfire Clubs during this time period. It's a very short time period, about 40 years or so. The early 1700s were just the time of debauchery, I guess. Anyways, there were many Hellfire Clubs dotted throughout England and Ireland. And this is only just one of them. Now, the Hellfire Club in Dublin probably actually didn't meet that much here on Montpellier Hill. They more likely met in the Eagle Tavern, which used to stand on Cork Hill. But this place seems to have made for better stories. Now, I did walk off the trail because I thought I saw a shortcut, which was pretty brave of me considering that I've never been on this hill before. But you know, it's probably fine. I think I know where I'm going. I've got okay signal, and hopefully I don't get human sacrificed. Now, one butler of the Hellfire Club was said to be a man named Tom Reardon. He was a good Christian man, but he did have one vice. He was a terrible drinker. He drank even more than the guests themselves some nights, which is probably how he ended up butling for such impolite company. One day, a newcomer comes to the Hellfire Club. He introduces himself at the door as a Lucifer. He was a beautiful, handsome man indeed, a fine silken cloak about his body. But Tom knew something had to be wrong. He went to the president of the club, tried to warn him that the devil himself had arrived. The president had more important things to do than to listen to the butler. And Lucifer took him aside then. He said that he would be a friend to Tom, and that before the night was over, they were going to play a game, just the two of them, as part of the festivities. They would play a game called Hell's Delight. Now Tom is obviously terrified, so he's drinking and drinking and drinking. Every time he's served a drink, he takes a swig himself. He's swigging down Scalpine, an awful drink of whiskey mixed with hot melted butter, going down about as easily as a glass of razor blades. And at the end of the night, Lucifer takes him and he pulls him close till their chins are nearly touching. And he pours his glass of Scalpine down poor Tom's throat. Yes, even though it's quite a small glass, it seems to pour and pour and pour and pour more and more of it, pint after pint, going into Tom's throat. He's gagging and he's retching, but it's pouring and pouring. He can do nothing else but swallow it all until he feels like he's entirely full up, till he's coughing up whiskey onto himself. He falls to the ground, and Lucifer stands over him. Now, Tom, he says, it's time we played Hell's Delight. He takes from his coat pocket a new glass, a lovely crystalline bottle, much more beautiful than the one I'm holding right now. This glass is filled to the brim with lemon. And he pours it and pours it and pours it and pours it, a spout of it falling into Tom's open mouth, spurting and spilling over his body. And that isn't enough. For the guests, they are laughing, but Lucifer feels they could laugh harder. He takes from his pocket a match. He strikes it against the wall, and he touches the lit taper to the stream of brandy. Now, fire flows down like water into Tom's open mouth. It flows down his throat, into his belly, burning him from the inside out. The stuff that is over his body begins to burn as well. Now the guests are horrified. They rush to save him, burning their fair, delicate hands in the process. And they whirl around to accost Lucifer, to accost this murderer. They find he's already vanished. And in time, the guests of the Hellfire Club began to see the merit in Lucifer's actions. They see the humor in it, and they start to do similar things themselves. This was what began the glory days, when the Hellfire Club blazed in glory. It was a roaring success. And they began to leave a seat open. One chair in the corner, a grand throne for Lucifer to sit upon, if he ever decided to return. And perhaps someday he will. Would anyone like a drink?